Welcome. Are you aiming for a band 7, 8, or even 9 in your IELTS test? If so, you already know that your grammar needs to be more than just correct. It needs to be sophisticated, flexible, and precise. Many test takers get stuck at band 6 or 6.5 because their grammatical range is limited. They use the same sentence structures over and over, which tells the examiner they have a ceiling on their language ability. In this comprehensive lesson, we're going to unlock the secrets to advanced grammar that will push your score into those higher bands. We'll master 6 key areas. First, using inversion to create formal and impressive sentences. Second, using fronting to add emphasis and focus. Third, we'll learn how to balance long, complex clauses for depth with short, punchy phrases for impact. Fourth, we'll conquer reported speech, including critical tense shifts and the use of precise reporting verbs. Fifth, we'll explore collocations to make your language sound natural and native-like. And finally, I'll give you a simple, powerful daily practice system to make these skills second nature. By the end of this session, you won't just know these rules, you'll be ready to use them. Let's start with a fundamental concept: sentence rhythm. If your sentences all look the same, like this, you're scoring flat. It's monotonous to read and demonstrates a limited range. It's like listening to a song with only one note. Now, look at this. The same information, but restructured. We have a long sentence, a short one, different beginnings, different flows. This is what examiners are looking for. You change the rhythm, you change the band. The following techniques are your tools to achieve this variety. Our first advanced technique is inversion. This is where we flip the normal subject-verb order of a clause, usually to create a more formal or emphatic tone. It's perfect for writing task 2. The most common trigger for inversion is a negative or limiting adverb at the beginning of a sentence. Words like rarely, hardly, not only, not until, and phrases like under no circumstances. When you start a sentence with one of these, you must invert the subject and the auxiliary verb that follows, just like you're asking a question. For example, instead of the standard, "I have rarely seen such a clear solution to this problem," you elevate it by writing, "Rarely have I seen such a clear solution." Notice the switch. "I have" becomes "have I." It's instantly more academic. Similarly, a sentence like, "We had hardly started the project when the funding was cut," becomes much more dramatic and sophisticated as "hardly had we started the project when the funding was cut." Another powerful one for essays is not only, but also. Instead of technology not only improves efficiency, but it also creates new job opportunities. You can write, "Not only does technology improve efficiency, but it also creates new job opportunities." That use of does is the key to correct inversion. Inversion is also brilliant for creating formal conditional sentences without using the word if. For the third conditional, instead of "if I had known about the meeting, I would have attended," you can write, "Had I known about the meeting, I would have attended." For the second conditional, "if I were to suggest a solution," becomes "were I to suggest a solution." And for the first conditional, "if you should require further assistance," becomes "should you require further assistance." These are hallmarks of high-level writing. Next, let's talk about emphasis. Sometimes, you want to draw the reader's attention to a specific piece of information. For this, we use a technique called fronting. It's exactly what it sounds like. You move important information to the front of the sentence. This is incredibly useful in both writing and speaking to guide your audience and stress your main point. Take a simple sentence. "The lack of public awareness is the most concerning issue." To add emphasis, you can front the key idea using a WH clause. What is most concerning is the lack of public awareness. This structure immediately signals importance. Here's another example. Instead of "the long-term environmental impact is more significant than the immediate cost," you can front the comparative phrase, "more significant than the immediate cost is the long-term environmental impact." This restructuring makes your argument clearer and more forceful. It's a simple change that adds a layer of sophistication. Now let's build on that idea of sentence structure. A key to a high score is mixing long, complex sentences with short, punchy ones. Let's focus on the long ones first. A complex sentence isn't just a long sentence. It's a sentence with an independent clause and at least one dependent clause. These clauses add layers of detail and show the relationship between ideas. For instance, you can combine "cities are becoming overcrowded," and this leads to infrastructure strain using a relative clause. You could write, "Cities are becoming overcrowded," which leads to significant strain on infrastructure. Or you could use a subordinate clause of reason. Because cities are becoming overcrowded, they are experiencing significant strain on infrastructure. By connecting ideas with words like which, while, although, or because, you demonstrate excellent grammatical control and create a much more detailed academic sentence. But a paragraph full of long sentences can be just as tiring as one full of short ones. The real secret is contrast. After you've written a long, complex sentence full of detail and nuance, follow it with a short, punchy phrase for impact. For example, although extensive research has been conducted to mitigate the effects of climate change through technological innovation, the political will to implement these solutions on a global scale remains conspicuously absent. That's your complex sentence. Now add the punch. This is the real problem. That short, simple statement lands with incredible force after the longer one. It's a powerful rhetorical device. Let's move on to another essential skill: reported speech. This is crucial for writing task 1 when describing what a chart shows or what an expert has said, and for both parts of the writing test. The most important rule is backshifting the tense. If the reporting verb, like said, claimed, or stated, is in the past, the verb in the reported clause usually moves one step back into the past. So present simple becomes past simple. The data is clear becomes, the researcher stated that the data was clear. Present perfect becomes past perfect. We have seen an increase becomes, they reported that they had seen an increase. And will becomes would. The trend will continue becomes, the expert predicted that the trend would continue. You also need to change time and place words. Today becomes that day, tomorrow becomes the following day, and here becomes there. Mastering these shifts is non-negotiable for a band 7 or higher. But just shifting the tense isn't enough. To truly excel, you must use precise reporting verbs. Stop using said or thinks all the time. Did the author just say something, or did they assert it forcefully? Did they suggest it as a possibility or contend it as part of an argument? Using a more precise verb adds nuance and demonstrates a wider vocabulary. For example, instead of "the author claimed that his theory was correct," you could use "the author asserted that his theory was correct" if he was being very confident. If he was presenting it as a new idea, perhaps he posited it. Instead of "the graph showed a rise in sales," you could write "the graph illustrated a rise in sales," or "the data demonstrated a clear upward trend." Each word carries a slightly different meaning and tone. Using them correctly is a sign of a truly advanced user of English. Finally, let's discuss the glue that holds all this advanced grammar together and makes it sound natural: collocations. Collocations are words that frequently go together. Native speakers use them constantly without thinking. Learning them is one of the fastest ways to make your English sound more fluent and less like it came from a textbook. For example, we don't make a challenge, we pose a challenge. We don't get a consensus, we reach a consensus. We don't do an influence, we exert an influence. While other combinations might be grammatically understandable, they sound wrong to a native ear. Learning correct collocations like mitigate risks, draw a distinction, or play a crucial role will instantly elevate your language. Make it a habit to learn words not in isolation, but with the partners they keep. So, we've covered 6 powerful techniques, but how do you make them a part of your active vocabulary? Knowledge is useless without practice. Here is your simple, effective daily system. Don't try to master everything at once. Focus on one pattern per day. On Monday, your only goal is to practice inversion. Find a topic, any topic, and write 5 distinct sentences using inversion. For example, rarely do we see such opportunities. Under no circumstances should this policy be enacted. Had the government invested sooner, the crisis could have been averted. 5 sentences. That's it. On Tuesday, you do the same for fronting. On Wednesday, for complex sentences. You problem solve one pattern, and you practice it in 5 sentences. This focused, consistent practice is far more effective than trying to remember 20 rules at once. It builds muscle memory. Repeat this process daily, and within a few weeks, you will find yourself using these structures automatically and correctly in your speaking and writing. This is how you build the foundation for a high score. This is how you watch your score climb. So, let's recap. We've learned to use inversion for formality, fronting for emphasis, a mix of complex and punchy sentences for rhythm, advanced reported speech for accuracy, and collocations for natural fluency. Your task now is simple. Pick one of these techniques and write your 5 sentences. Start today